Galloway is a construction manager and consultant, commercial and residential builder, and a certified inspector for all commercial and residential buildings. And now, here is About the House with Troy Galloway.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to About the House. This is a wonderful show we're going to have today, and what I want to share with you here is just a little bit, touch base with you, a little bit about who we are. I'm Troy Galloway. I'm the owner of Galloway Building Services, and what we do is we are a professional inspection company. Yes, we do home and building inspections, but we also do professional litigation inspections. So if you got a problem with your construction job, say, for instance, you got some issues and you just don't know that it's being done right, give us a call. If you got a commercial building that you need inspected, whether you're buying or selling, that's what people give us a call for every day. We also help people with, like I said, regular home inspections, but we also help, say, if you got any health problems or anything like that going on, we can help you with that too. And security issues. And so that's kind of what this show's about today. We have a fabulous guest. I'm so excited to have Mike Washington. He goes by Tonymike, and it's going to be a great show. Mike's been around for a long time. You might even recognize his voice because he's been a professional in this industry and on radio for a long time. He does a lot of outreach programs and such to help people. He's got some programs. This is what I really want to talk about today because he's actually got some fabulous programs, and it's just not just for our region, but you can probably find he can help you find these programs wherever you live. I know that this show goes all over the North America continent, so you get a hold of Mike. Mike's going to give you all his information when we get at the end of the show, and you get a hold of Mike with any kind of questions. Honestly, he's as bad as I am. He loves to talk. So anyway, Mike, thank you for joining us today. Fantastic. And jump in here and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about, who and what you're doing.
Well, thank you for having me. What a great show. It's good that you and I met, not long ago. And your format is something that I'm extremely grateful to be a part of. Currently, I'm with a company. It's a company out of Earth City, and the company is called Secure 24, and we are an authorized dealer of ADT. And what makes the company kind of special is that we've been in business for 13 years. We're the second largest private dealership of ADT that's in the United States continent. But what is great about this company, it is a veteran-owned company, and it's a family-owned company.
Oh, well, help out folks, because I think some of the people may not know what I do, but ADT, what is it that you guys do?
ADT is one of the largest security, home security companies in the nation. Mm-hmm. And the format that I like to talk about is going to be surrounding about the crime that's going on, not only, around you, but a way of we can try to prevent crime prevention here. And one of the contents that I think that ADT has come up with, we've tried to come up with a base how we can help the community. One of the reasons why we're so passionate about this is because crime happens to everybody. It doesn't matter where you're at. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what color you are. Crime happens. So one of the elements that we've kind of come up with at ADT is to kind of help people with the installation process. And we've got this wireless technology now. So the wireless technology is a beautiful thing. It really helps people that really trims the aspect of wires. So it's no more wires like the old days. So with the wireless solution that we've come up with, we're actually getting more customers into a position where they can actually afford this by giving them free wireless equipment and also free installation under this particular program that I'm offering and talking to you about today.
So let me tell you, the wireless, let me back up real quick because I really got a lot of great questions with this. But how did you get involved in this kind of, in this well, technology, okay, but this industry?
Well, a little bit about my background. I am definitely a St. Louisan, and everybody from St. Louis always asks this question: where did you go to high school at?
Yeah.
And of course, I went to Sumner High School in the Ville area. And I went off to college, and my background is really in finance, real estate and finance. So I spent many a decade in that aspect, and then got out of that and did some, flipping, houses and things of that nature. But one of the things that I come to find out is that neighborhoods in certain pockets, especially of St. Louis, they changed, and they changed not all for the worse, but they didn't change for the better, because when I was growing up, a neighborhood was a neighborhood.
Yeah, everybody knew everybody.
Everybody knew everybody.
And if you got in trouble, you didn't need a security system, because the mama was going to drag you down by the ear, and your daddy was going to give you a whooping right there, and then mama too.
As I told you about the situation with Miss Gray when I stepped on her grass.
Yeah, tell them that story. That was a great story.
Oh my God! I was coming home from school.
This is a security system right here.
This is a security system. Coming home from school, and my buddy pushed me on her grass, and everybody back then used to sit out on their porch. You came home from school, wasn't no bus driver. You just walked everywhere. So we came home from school, and, we knew Miss Gray was up there, and the parents was waiting on you to come home. And he shoved me on the grass, and I had 2 inches on her grass.
Oh.
Miss Gray, oh, Lord rest her soul, she comes down there like a Viking and just starts putting that ruler on my hand. And it was so funny, because by the time I got home, my mom says, you got in trouble by Miss Gray, I see. I said, yeah. She said, well, what happened? I said, Carl pushed me on her grass. She says, did she reprimand you? Yeah. Stick your hand back out.
Oh, again.
Yeah. So those were the kind of neighborhoods that we kind of like was used to, and I wish we can actually get back to them. But
I do too.
With Secure 24, we really are thriving just to keep our community and our customers safe. One of the things that I'm hoping to really get into more are the pockets. Hopefully I can get with St. Louis PD. I deal with a lot of realtors. I deal with a lot of home inspectors, and it makes sense for the customers to get a security system at the end of their purchase. And that's what we're trying to do also.
I get asked a lot during a home inspection, and it's all, and actually, sadly, it seems to be I get asked more in the areas that the people are more affluent, and they don't necessarily, they know that crime's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere, and it's getting worse in the more affluent areas for sure. But it seems like they're the only ones that, and I think they're the ones that ask. And I think the reason is because the other ones, they don't know about what ADT has and what what you can do to help them in a price that they desperately need.
Yeah. What's interesting about that, because what most people don't realize is that by getting a home security system, you get a certain percentage marked off of your home insurance policy.
So they can save money. What do they do? They have to get something from you, a certificate or something from your company?
Yeah. After they actually get a home security system installed, then we issue a certificate that they can forward on, or we can even forward it on to their home insurance company. And that's savings all the way around. It's savings not only for them for that security, but it's also security for them being safe and very comfortable at night when they have to lay their head down.
So you said you're wireless, and the reason I'm very curious about that is because I remember, as an old carpenter, when we had to get into a home, that all we had to do is go out there and unplug the phone line from outside of the box.
Right.
And now you're saying wireless. Now, tell us, talk to us and walk us through what this means, because when I hear wireless, and I'm not as computer savvy as some of these younger people,
right,
it kind of sounds a little overwhelming.
Well, when the inspectors goes out to inspect, the home security system is outside the rim of their inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, they don't inspect the home security system. So, but it has to have some type of way to connect. So that's why the internet has changed the game on everything. The internet, it's basically tied into the internet. So I can't see any criminal right now cutting any wires to the internet, or they got a tall pole to climb. So basically that's today. And also for this phone right here, everything that we're doing right now, it evolves and revolves around the phones. So they can even get the type of package where if anything is going on in their home, it goes to their phones. They can look inside their house. They can look outside their house. One of the big things, and I think that's overlooked with a lot of other security companies that we're really focusing in on, baby boomers are getting older.
Yeah. I guess that was a dig.
Yeah, let me drink to that.
Both of us are showing little white whiskers there.
But baby boomers are getting older. And one of the things that I think is important to note is that there's a security feature that ADT offers also as a home alert button. So if something happens where you may fall down, that person is able to wear their alert button and hit it, and they can also bring the ambulance and also police. So that feature right there is very important if you're someone who's maybe living alone or, a caretaker.
So, I'm thinking outside the box here. Now, where I have a home is in an area that cell phone reception is poor. Internet reception is poor, so we have portable hotspots.
Right.
And actually, I'm going to share this with the world. Joey here, our producer, he's the one that introduced me to the portable hotspots. So thank goodness for this younger generation to teach us baby boomers.
That's right.
But how does that work with the hotspot? I mean, how do these kind of come together? Your security system and internet, if we don't have the availability of a good internet system.
The integration right now is so advanced. That hotspot that Joey turned you on to is exactly how when our guys goes out there and they'll check a system, they'll check to see how that system operates. So sometimes you may have to get a booster, on buying on Amazon. It's, like little to nothing, but it boosts the voltage and it also helps the reception of your hotspots to be able to take on that security system. And that's so important. Sometimes, and I mean, I live in an area, no matter where it's a good area that you can get good no hotspots, DK, I call it. But sometimes it'll run slow, but that's just, the life that we live in. But, having a nice booster is definitely something.
I guess when you are out there, you help guide us through what we're going to need because honestly, a lot of us really don't know, I mean, we know how to turn our phone on, we know how to get our emails, and we know how to do our little social media, and that's just about the extent of some of us, for that.
It's right. Our salespeople they're so good in what they do in terms of orchestrating a package. A couple of days ago, I just kind of we moved into a bigger office out here in Earth City, but I took a moment and I just kind of walked our office and I listened to our sales team. And not only are they passionate about what they do, but they really take the time to listen to the customer because it's like they're putting themselves into the customer's home. Mm-hmm. So they understand how many entries that the customer has. They understand how many windows that the customer has. They understand if it's on two levels, split foyer, or ranch, or things of that nature. Where's the back entrance? So they ask all these vital questions to really help give them a full airtight pocket, as you can say, if anything's ever airtight. But it gives them a good pocket of security.
Now, we're talking about homeowners, people living in their home. and say, I'm just throwing out a theoretical question here, and I am a senior, which I'm almost there anyway, but I don't, somebody breaking in my house, I think. I'm scared to get on the phone because I don't want somebody to hear me. Right. How does this work? How does this communication with my security system work? Because outside of the house, okay, but inside of the house, I'm scared.
Right. That's a great question. And one of the things that the person in the house has got to kind of like do and get into a regimen of doing was simple, just press a button and enter their codes and alarm the system. A lot of times, we're going to bed at much earlier at 7 o'clock, 7:30. So they get into a regimen of arming the bed. It's like, I remember my grandmother used to check the stove 4 or 5 times a night, make sure the stove off, make sure the stove's off. So my mom used to make sure that back door was closed and then the basement back door was closed. So it's the same type of learned behavior that we used to actually do without really knowing that we were doing it. So it basically is arming the system. So the system is armed when they're in the house. So if an intruder comes in or anything like that, it's going to be with one of the features that the system has, which is the glass breakage. They'll know, which is the other feature that they have if they open a door. They'll know with a door sensor. So that alone can deter them, and make a decision. Do they want to come in and still have a chance on, possibly taking on that type of risk or not?
Now, would the burglar know that the security had been turned on? Mm-hmm. And what is it? Is it a siren, or is it shocking them? Does it automatically have a shotgun that just goes off both barrels?
Kind of like wish they had a Rottweiler that could probably release too. But no, it's a quite a bit of an alarm that definitely goes off, and it also signals the local police department.
So you're talking about Rottweilers. So I did hear one, and I don't know if your system does it, but they had a whole bunch of dogs went off. Oh. And you'd hear these dogs just barking and raising heck, and I knew that house was empty over there.
It's a doorbell effect.
Yeah. So, is that something people do? I only heard it one time, but I thought, well, that's pretty cool.
I think I had a doorbell one time where during Halloween I howled like a wolf.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Well, so now we talked about doing some work for people that living in their home. Mm-hmm. But what if I'm working on, say I'm building a home, and or remodeling, whatever the case is, and I want a security system for that, but I'm not going to be there. Mm-hmm. What kind of systems do you have to help us with out there in the construction world?
I had a conversation with a realtor last week, and there's a market right now where there are a lot of people buying up these homes. They're package deals. They're buying up these homes. But what they're not doing is they're just leaving them, and they're not putting any type of alarm system on them because maybe they're going to rent them out, or whether they're going to fix them up and then flip them or whatever. But in my opinion, if you have an investment, you should want to protect your investment. Mm-hmm. So in actuality, I would say, why wouldn't you go ahead and take that chance on alarming that property? So therefore, you can always know what's going on with that property you may be in Columbia, Missouri, versus somewhere in Eureka. Mm-hmm. So you still have the ability to know what's going on around the property and the property. So I think personally that is something good for investors to really start considering.
I think so too. Now, what about so if I'm building again, and they're not, and it's a lot of times when we're building something, mm-hmm. New construction, because I've done a lot of new construction, and I got an open garage. I got my windows and my stuff all stashed into my garage. Right. And now with garage doors being such a shortage, we're actually closing on homes. Oh yeah, it's so bad that we're closing on homes without garage doors, which is a code. Well, but Now, what do we have there? Is it so? I don't want people backing in, and they're not coming in the house, and there's not a garage door. Is there some sort of? I know that to you, it's probably an ignorant question because but is there kind of like sensors or something, motion sensors or something that sets the alarm off, other than having to go through a closed access?
Well, with garage doors access, I would say right now, no. However, anytime that something is broken, then a sensor does detect it. So that would be, I would say, definitely it can be something that's made aware of, because with the sensors as the cameras, a camera would just angle a little differently. Instead of a garage door, it would angle a little differently. So you could still get that same effect of notification by having it. If somebody comes near that garage, then it's a sensor that says, hey, somebody's here. Now, getting back to your question, though, about new construction, there's we do work with a group of builders who wants that type of security when they're building a home, because sometimes when you're building a home, it's a great feature to have at the end of the product. Your home's built and out, so it comes with a new home security system. So we do on case-by-case scenarios with working with builders to really help them with that aspect of the securitizing that home too.
We've worked with your company in the past few years, and I haven't worked personally with you, but I have worked with some of your other salespeople, which fabulous service, and in my world, what makes fabulous service, your world is that all service works great. My world is you actually show up, and you get it done on time. Right. And that is something that I have to say that, I was highly impressed with, because the cheapest price, is not the best deal. Right.
One of the things that ADT kind of like strives itself, because we do national business. Missouri just happens to be one of my markets, along with Delaware, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. But one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that our technicians are not contracted out. They are actually employees of the company. So that's really, really big, because a lot of times you get other technicians who may be 1099, and they don't have any vested interest in the company. Right. But our technicians are they have vested interest, and they really care about the customer.
Well, then that would also mean that you've already done a security check on the individuals that are working for you, too. Yes. Because a lot of these that do what you're talking about, we call them subcontractors, 1099. Nobody does a security check on them, and you have no idea who's in your home.
Right, and who's programming your
So I talk to people about this all the time, and I got a lot of videos out there, YouTube videos, where these guys come in. Well, I say guys, it's people, and because it is everybody. And what they do is they come in with a real estate agent, and there's several of them together. And that poor real estate agent, they're looking at an existing home, and a poor real estate agent can only watch one person at a time, and they're trying to show the highlights of the home, not babysit. Well, these folks are going through there, and they're getting pictures of IDs and their credit cards, guns. I'm shocked, people leave their firearms out. So how does your cameras watch and make sure that when people are going through these homes, can you pick up this kind of activity without setting off an alarm? Because they're not stealing anything. We call it case in the joint.
Right. Well, that would depend on how the service is turned off. If it's turned off, the camera will still continue to record. And our cameras are 1080 PD, which is very high resolution. So, and you can bring them forward. It can probably read some of the print, like on that particular paper from over, from a distance. So the motions and the constant updates of our technology is really unparalleled to like anything that's out here right now. So there are so many avenues that the cameras can do, the systems can do, that it really caters around that salesperson again, who's really selling that system and making sure that the customer has everything that they need in order to feel secure in that house.
Sounds like what they're really doing is custom designing a product that's going to serve your particular needs, because not everybody's the same needs or desires, But let me ask you, tell me some projects that you're working on now, because I know that you got some really cool things that you're helping people with out there. So guide us here. What maybe some things that you're working on now on crime prevention or something?
Yeah, with the crime prevention, because that's really passionate with me, and I'm really trying to open up the doors to the Urban League. And I said earlier with the St. Louis, I like to do some work and outreach programs with the St. Louis PD, and to show them and help them roll out this same program to crime-infested areas, because I believe, that with certain things that we have, it actually can help crime. Will it prevent it? Not all the time, but I think that it can help. It may even deter it. So working with the St. Louis PD and the Urban League, and also I'm constantly looking for other avenues to really make a difference in terms of getting customers secure in their homes. So home inspectors, they do a wonderful job. They do a wonderful job, and because they are basically almost the last person that person who's buying a home is talking to, and they make a soft verbal mention to say, hey, there's a security system. Because a lot of times if there is a security system in the home and it's not ADTs, then we can still 9 times out of 10 turn that system on.
That's what I was going to ask you.
We can turn that system on. Our techs will still go out there, and they will still go through a whole rundown of that system. And they will even update the system. And also they will make even certain suggestions that make that system even tighter, just for the customer's sake.
Now, do you do monthly programs, yearly programs? How does this, quarterly? How does that? And so, if I have a monthly system, and I guess you shook your head yes, so I'm going to speak up here. So, what if say mom? God bless, my mom's gone, but say mom, and she's forgetful.
Yeah,
and she might not get that bill paid.
Right.
Well, how do we work with that to make sure mom's taken care of?
Well, a couple of things, because everything is so easy to do, whether they want to take have automatic pay deducted out of their account. That's the easiest way. That's the, safest way. And we only do 3-year contracts. We don't do, which the national across the board is 5. We don't do 5 years.
How come?
Because we don't think 5 years is needed, because we think that after a 3rd year, then our customer, they're going to continue. There's no contracts after that. They're going to stay with us long term. So that 5 years is not going to make a difference if it's a 10-year. They're going to enjoy the service. They're going to enjoy everything that ADT has to offer. And then also whatever type of new equipment that comes out, there always says, well, hey, they can give us a call and therefore get it tested and see if it works for them. Because let's say we got properties in Salisbury. A property in Salisbury, for example. So a Salisbury property may not have a garage door opener.
Right.
Okay. So therefore, that person's plan may be different than a person in Hazelwood that has just a regular flat type home and with a garage door opener. So they can critique and design their own plans to really meet their own needs.
Do you just have the screamers, or is it a combination, or do you even do such a thing? Because the screamers never seem to bother me when I go into a home and I'm inspecting and somebody forgot to turn the system off. I can just go there and just turn it off real simply. It's not a big deal.
You're John Wayne, man. This scares the deaf daylights out of me.
Well,
but it's the.
I like John Wayne, so thank you for the compliment.
It's the Desmos, and that's what it's meant to be loud. It's meant to be where it tells everybody that there's an intrusion or there's something that's happening. But I think one of the biggest features that I think is important. And every day, we are just now getting into the spring aspect of things. But I think what's really important, especially around, the winter months, is our something that's not talked about enough, which is the fire alarms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ADT, we have a fire alarm systems, and we also it's a great feature because it goes, if it detects any type of, you know, we have a carbon monoxide detector also, but this fire alarm, if it detects anything, it's going to notify the fire department, and then they're going to be right there, and they're going to come, and you know, a lot of times it's going to really work out a lot better than it did if you didn't have one. Because what's happening right now, a lot of people are forgetting batteries, you know, in their fire alarms.
Yeah, they're not all electrical backups. And
right.
So we did a radio show I did a few years, well, I guess about a year or so ago, about different kind of security systems. And it wasn't just about burglar alarms. It was, like you said, about the fire. But you guys also have, like, for water, in case of plumbing pipes break or
Yes.
things. Tell us about kind of how some of this works, like a gas detector. You know, do you got any of that? Well, carbon monoxide, but gas itself.
Right.
Do you got stuff like that people could jump in on?
Here's a really good one that most people, you know, like I see your little dog here, and we have one for pet detection, because if you leave and your pet runs free, then if you don't have the proper system set up, then that alarm's going to keep going off.
Mm-hmm.
So with our pet detection, it kind of like recognizes your pet being there. And it still gives you the comfort of to know that if anybody tries to break in or enter or jiggle it, they know, well, that's not the pet doing that.
So I'm smiling because I were talking about pets, so I got to tell that real quick funny story. Funny, but not so much. But anyway, so I was doing an inspection job for a customer,
Mm-hmm.
and they had just been robbed, and windows are broken, and some gunshot holes in it and everything. And she'd just been robbed, but it's got a biggest, meanest, orneriest looking pit bull that you could ever lay eyes on. Because everybody thinks I'm just going to get me a big old pit bull. Well, she got video of it. She didn't have a burglar alarm. She thought this was good enough and just some cameras. I said, well, what did your dog do? She said, that dog just followed him around and wanted loving, and they gave us some treats, and the dog just loved them and was licking them, you know, because, you know, people think pit bulls are mean. Well, you know, people are the mean ones, not the pit bulls, you know. Right. But so that's a great idea, what you're saying, so that picks up the dog, because the dog, you know, it may look intimidating, but a lot of times they're not.
But you made a good point. What happens right now, and I think what's going on in the marketplace, they're not realizing, if I go to a hardware store and I look on the shelf and I'm looking at the shelf and I'm saying, hey, that's a security camera. That's all the security that I'll need.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not true, because people don't realize that they buy security system twice. They buy it either before they move in our property or after something has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for the sake of argument, they go to that security, that Home Depot or whatever, and they buy 2 cameras. I'm going to put one camera in the front, I'm going to put one camera in the back, or I'm going to put a camera in my house. Okay. Well, they can put a camera in a house. So what's going to happen is that when the intruder is in the house, you're going to talk to the intruder. That reaction time is a big lag between the time that they actually find out and get somebody there to handle that intruder, other than when the ADT actually hears something and reacts. So that reaction time is just totally night and day.
I had a good friend, and they just bought a house now, and so their system, they've not had a security system in their house yet. But that wasn't his problem. He was carjacked. Now he just is. And I need to get you his phone number, because honestly, it just put the poor man such emotionally distraught that he couldn't even work for a while. It just shook him up. I mean, he wasn't just carjacked. He had a gun stuck to his head, and he was, it scared the tar out of the poor fella. Do you guys have, your company have anything that could help us my wife or my children from being carjacked. If they steal my car, honestly, they need it worse than me. But I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my wife. I'm worried about my dog and my grandchildren.
Well, we don't have a carjack button, but what happens is that the thing that I could recommend is lighting is everything too. Lighting is everything. Security cameras, external cameras that are outside that ADT offers are weatherproof. Rain, heat, snow, all that. And unfortunately for your friend, that was a tragic. But a lot of times, it's like I said, people normally get a security system after the aftermath, because now he may feel like, well, at least I feel a little bit better now that I got some type of security, But that's very unfortunate. I'm sorry for your friend.
Yeah, I am too, because he was just a really nice fella. He wasn't. He just didn't expect anything like that to happen. And I was just wondering if there was anything that we could actually have on our phones, like a panic button, because you said you got one that we carry around, for if I fall. And I just wondered if there was such a thing for that.
Actually, Apple has something like that, though. I got to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
And maybe if you could integrate the two together with your security system, that might be, something, yeah.
But they do have but ADT, if he does have one of the phones, a system that's designed that he has a phone technique, then there isn't a panic button on the phone, where if he feels like he's coming up to his driveway, things like that, then he can hit that alarm. And then it can go off.
Now, in his case, it wouldn't have done any good unless he'd done it really, really quick, because these carjackers automatically knew, and so they threw his phone out instantly.
Right.
Right. But and they also, I didn't realize this, but they also they knew how to disarm the location button of the vehicle. So I guess that's something new too.
Well, see, that's the whole thing, because everything is becoming more sophisticated. It's just not us. The criminals are becoming more sophisticated. So in that realm of sophistication, ADT is every day designing, a platform, a format in order to help curve the balance, where they can stay a little bit above the criminals' mindset.
So what? Tell me a little bit about different programs that you have. I mean, is there some help for those? Okay, so for the people that can afford it, that's cool, But there's a lot of our folks can't afford it, or they think they can't afford it. What kind of programs do we have that could help our people? Is there senior citizen programs or first-time mothers or anything?
Well, that's why we came up with this particular program. Because this program that we offer, it can't be sought at if you call corporate up and ask them that you want to get somebody out to the house.
This type of program, well, tell me what
the program that we offer with the free installation and $1,000 worth of the equipment.
Oh.
Excuse me. That program right there that we're offering, that we roll out, they can't call corporate and get that program anywhere. So, and that's the program that we normally are rolling out for our home inspectors and our realtors sectors. And then we also are basically trying to build a format where we really want to get the message out of home security.
So we see these people put these signs out. And you know how often I see an ADT sign, and there is not a security system on site. Do these people honestly think that works? I mean, because you're talking about sophistication. These burglars, they're not stupid. They're pretty smart fellas or people. Now, I shouldn't say fellas because females do it too. But, I mean, do you think we even should have a sign out? Because it's almost like if I see an ADT sign, I am using that as an example.
Sure.
Because any kind of security sign, it's almost like, I don't know that that's even true.
But not scientists, but statistics says that it is.
Okay.
And that's the ironic part. Because if you drive by and you say, okay, well, that has ADT signs, but that doesn't, that doesn't, but they do. Okay. So now that something in your mind is going to say, well, I'm going to take my chances with getting these other 2 or 3 that don't have the signs. So, statistics says, yeah. So that's why we do encourage all of our customers, put that ADT sign out there in front. We give you the things to put on your window, your front door, back door, and even your window logos. And it helps to deter, because that's really what we're hoping, is just basically a deterrence, of crime.
I think that's awesome. So just don't get the signs, get the signs and the system.
Yes.
Because these folks, they know. They know if you're just shooting debris. So, and it's kind of like having that sign out there, big dog will bite. And then you see this little poodle chasing you.
Exactly.
And that poodle will bite.
Because how many times, if you've gone up to anybody's house and they've actually had a big dog, and then your whole demeanor changes. When you see this dog and they're, it's behind its glory, you say, "Ooh." Same thing about the signs. Sometimes if you're driving by and you're seeing that sign, you're saying, okay, it's something about how the mind and the eyes correlate. And it says, no, I'm not going to do that. Or maybe, let me try something else.
So I'm brand new and I'm building a house or I'm closing on a home. We'll just go there. And so I'm going to be closing in a month or so. And I've already signed a contract. Everything went through, and now we're done. How long can I honestly, with a shortage of everybody out there, can I actually expect to have a security system in before I move in? What is our time lag? I know you guys are busy, and I know you're in the same world as I, and everybody wants to work for your company because it is a great company.
It's a great company to work
for.
What
are we looking at?
It is so funny you say that. I had a customer, and I said this today to my boss, Aaron Wolf. I said this today. I looked at a report that came, and I was amazed that from the time the home inspector sent me the lead for the customer, sent it through our process, that customer not only closed on her home, she was probably in the final stage of the closing, but when the home inspector finished his inspection, forwarded us the lead, and the customer dealt with the customer service people, it closed like within 5 to 7 days from the time that we actually had the lead. And now, is that every time? No, because there's so many elements to a closing. But I've actually had a closing where I've had a realtor that called me, and they were at the closing table. We closed the ADT deal. I contacted they contacted the guy, the installer. The installer trailed him over to his house and installed the system.
That's great.
So we are so flexible, and we try to really be flexible with our clients and also with the market, to try to really get we have a very good rating with the BBB. And
an A+ rating.
Yeah, A+. And we really take that seriously. We take complaints seriously. You can't make everybody happy, but we do take a lot of the things that, people say and we hear, and we really try to grow from that.
So I'm not buying a house. I'm going to put the other hat on. And I'm a tenant. I'm renting the property, and my landlord doesn't want to pay for this. Do you work with renters? Because a lot of renters still need the security system. They just as equally as probably owns the home.
Right. The problem with that is that owner, that tenant, that landlord is the owner of that property. So the way it's titled at the municipality is that we've got to get his permission in order to put that system on that house.
Now in this system, is this anything that's going to hurt or damage the landlord's home?
No, it's not. Now, all other real estate developments, there's one, a huge one out in North County. It's like about 300. They actually prefer you use wireless networks, such as ADT. and for your own security. So a lot of times landlords today, they're really are accepting this because of how it's no drilling. So there's no drilling anymore. So back in the old days, so they were drilling, there was wires going everywhere.
Right.
So now a lot of landlords are accepting. They say, yeah, they want their tenants to have a security system. They want ADT to come in there and say, okay, here, at least they know from a standpoint that their property is not going to be vandalized, so bad.
I think that's a great idea, and honestly, I know that we got properties, my wife and I, and we got them on all parts of town, and but we get like single mothers, and they're some of these single mothers are just petrified. Sometimes it's not because of spousal abuse and things like this. It's more than just we're all thinking just bad people out there, but it's just domestic disputes and things like this that we have to worry about also.
Well, look what's happening now. I think the bill they're trying to pass a bill with the carjacking. Even now, if you go and test a car handle, they're trying to really make that a crime. But what happened is a lot of cameras are focused on the outside of a person's car. I've had my car vandalized three, 4 times.
Oh, wow.
3 or 4 times, and they're not looking for anything, but they just trashed it, to coins and, headphones or things of that nature. But no matter what, somebody was stealing your property. They were stealing your space.
And that's bothers you.
It does bother you.
When somebody, it's like they violate you. And I hate. There's another analogy, but I don't think it's quite to that point. But it's still there's a personal. It's more personal. When I got and I'd been robbed. Oh, I got to tell you that story. And I wish I would have had a system. So I don't do this anymore. So everybody just relax. But I used to always leave my back door unlocked.
Yeah.
And my wife would say, well, why are you leaving the back door unlocked? I said, because if a burglar wants in, he's coming in. And I don't want him tearing up a window. I don't want him tearing up anything. So we get robbed. And what does he do? He goes through the kitchen window, just 15, maybe 10 feet away from an open, unlocked door. The idiot don't even try to go through the door. And then he goes right through the kitchen. I have to replace the screen and everything. But we caught him. So, we was lucky but what are the odds?
One guy made himself a sandwich. One guy made himself a sandwich, sat down.
Made himself a sandwich. Well, this guy was in my garden, and I seen some of the Brussels sprouts he had half ate. But actually, in his case, he was a drug addict, and I don't, that was, and that happens. That's why we're scared to death of having. We watch our neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that if we got a drug house in there, and where this was happening at, people say, "Oh, that only happens in the bad part of town." No, this drug house was in a very upper end neighborhood, and their son was selling drugs out of the house. Now, I'm a country boy, so we had our own system of taking care of that. And actually, I told the dad, I said, "We know what your son's doing." Now, it wasn't him that did it. He did not rob us. Actually, it was one of his clients.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's not even him that's doing it. But I just told him, I say, listen, we know your son's doing this, so you got 2 choices. When I'm not going to get into that on the show, but the choice was either move or move permanently. And luckily, we got him busted and he went to prison. Yeah. Well, that cut down on the clientele coming around. But people think, I'll just watch around this house and that's where the activity is. No, the activity's all coming before it gets to the house. It's your money they're coming to the house with.
Yeah, right.
So now homeowners, tenants can get it. And landlords do. I'm thinking I got some property in some of the areas of town. I'm wondering if I could get more for rent if I was to actually put. Now, of course, I'm capitalist. I'd be on, but if I could get more for rent, help protect my tenants and help protect my property, that might be something that if I could, it might be worth my while.
It really could be because every tenant wants to feel safe.
That's his castle. When he moves in, he may be a
Exactly.
tenant, but that's his castle.
Right.
At least that's how I like to think of it. So don't destroy your castle, guys,
Right, exactly.
So help me out here. Anything else you'd like to add here? Because I know we're wrapping up on the show, and you just a ton of information here that I know that we're not going to get in 1 hour.
Right.
And that's why I highly recommend at the very beginning of the show for them to call you and ask questions and just pick your brain. And you don't charge nothing for that. Just for questions, because before we even want you to come out, we want to see if it's applicable to our situation.
Right.
So,
one of the things that anybody, because I do Facebook, I run certain specials like we're talking about today, and I do it on Facebook and Instagram, at Mike Tony Washington on Facebook, and that's my also Instagram link. And anytime that anybody wants to always call me to ask about the type of system that they can get, they can reach me at 314-305-0587.
Just a little bit slower because people are going to try to get their ink pens out and say it.
Right.
And write it down.
314-305-0587.
And is there an email address or something? How's another way we could find you? So
they can reach me on my email, which is Mike Washington 871@gmail.
If they want to find you on Facebook or Instagram, what's your handles?
My Facebook handle is Mike Tony Washington.
Okay.
Yep, and Instagram.
And the same one on Instagram.
Yep.
And of course, folks, you're going to be able to find this show all over. We're going to be on Rumble. You're going to find us on Getter. You're going to Instagram, Twitter. I guess we're going to be out on Twitter. We don't have no idea where that world's going right now.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to. You can find us all over on social media, and so. Mike, thank you so much for coming over here and sharing with us.
You guys been a
I'd really like
blast.
to have you come back because I got a whole lot more questions.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to just to kind of get the core here and let people get to know who you are.
Yeah.
Because the truth is it is scary out there.
It is.
And so by listening to you and kind of like now you're a friend. You're not somebody here to sell me something. You're a friend here to help me with something.
Right.
And I've listened to you and I share. And that's what I do. I share your. Now, when I do these inspections, and I do a lot of commercial, which I like to bring you back and talk about commercial. But we just got into residential,
right?
But I would like to, I always like to share your show with them. So if you contact me, my name again, Troy Galloway with Galloway Building Services, and you can find our email address out there. Actually, I'll give you my personal email, and that's Troy@GallowayBuildingService.com. But you can also get our email or our website at GallowayBuildingServices.com, www.GallowayBuildingServices. And this show will be put out there on our webpage so people can follow up and find you that way too. But folks, if you have any questions and you want to know how to find Mike or he's busy and you got a question, give me a call and I'll get you in direct contact with him because he's the guy you want to talk to. There's a lot of ADT people out there, but folks, it's like everybody else out there. There's only certain, regardless of the company, it's the particular service from the individual. That is what separates Mike from the rest of the people out there. So I highly recommend him. Of course, we know this ADT's been around for 80, 90 years.
Yeah, yes. A long time.
Yeah.
Longer than me and you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's you.
That's bad. Okay. So I don't even know this guy's name no more. So thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. And one more time, tell us about your phone number.
Phone number again is 314-305-0587.
Awesome.
And I want to thank you so much for having me out. It's a beautiful day outside, man. It was a great time. Our lunch was a great time when we had lunch.
And I want to thank Joey, too, our producer. Folks, I know this is a podcast. If you ever need any kind of podcast or videos or anything, I highly recommend this young man. he literally gets embarrassed when I do this, and I'm not trying to embarrass him. My wife and I just think he's the most awesome, and he just is great service. And he didn't even pay for this, so you know that I really mismean it. So, thank you, Joey. Thank you, Mike, and appreciate you guys. And God bless you all. And thank you for listening to our show. Hey, if you like it, hit like and subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, and that way you can get all the new shows coming up and anything that's happening new. Or I got 100, maybe close to 1,000 videos out there. And I don't know, we're close to 100 different podcasts out there now. So anything you want to learn about, follow us, check us out. And if you got a question, always just feel free to call. Most of the time, if I get questions about technical things, I don't charge anything for it. Actually, I just want to be there to be a service for you. You can't, well, honestly, we help each other. You can't outgive God. You do something good for people out there, you will always be rewarded. And my blessings to you all, and thank you for listening.
Sponsored by Troy Galloway and Galloway Building Services. GallowayBuildingServices.com.